Hi everyone. I'm in my office on my campus. Um, I'm trying to get more bookcases. I have books all over my office. It's ridiculous. So you're only able to kind of see some of them. This is like a really, really small fraction. I have books all over this place, but that's not what we're here for. We are here for Ultimate Real Housewives Ultimate Girls Trip, Season 3, Episode 6. I think I have a little bit more to talk about this time. Just a little bit, not much. I'm cold. Okay. Pepsi is stressed. He is like crying. He was crying last week. He's crying in the confessional. He's crying in the corner, trying to get these women. And I felt like production should step in. That's what I put on my notes. But it turned out that he sat all the women down and was like, look, I don't like this. I'm not happy because y'all acting a fool. And in the midst of that, um, no, in the midst of that, Giselle and Portia is over there making jokes. Like, is he getting a check? Giselle, is he getting a check? And I was like, wow. So he can't express himself without you guys getting upset. Okay. Um, and then Leah's over there trying to apologize or whatever. Portia interrupts her. Um, and she's like, "Oh, Leo, you were talking? I'm sorry. You know what you were doing." They have a white part. Oh, by the way, Heather makes a joke to Portia because they're getting all ready to go to this white party. Heather makes a joke like, "Oh, come to my room. We can have a drink before we go in." And making a joke about this Giselle's bottle, missing bottle. So they laugh. Okay. Portia. Oh, at the white party, Giselle brings up, okay, just now that we're here, Leah asked me that you felt that that Portia, that you didn't like Leah, and you can explain that. So Leah goes through and then Giselle's like, Leah, I want you to know that I told her. And Leah's like, of course you did. Anyway, anyway, so Leah goes ahead and explains, probably gives this long explanation and everything about how she feels. Portia's like, Leah, bye. So now they're going back and forth. Portia, bye. Leah, bye. Portia, bye. Leah, bye. I feel like I'm two. I feel like I'm talking to 2 or 3 year olds. That's what my son says. He's no longer 2 or 3, but I'm just saying that's what he does say. If I told my son bye, he's gonna be bye. So we're kids. Okay. Portia was like, look, Leah, you're not engaging, you're not doing this, you're really I'm like, she's been sick most of the time. But Whitney does bring up a point that I actually unfortunately have to agree with her on. She's like, Leah, you complain a lot. And that may not be what you intend to do, but you do. And we don't really like it. And I hate to admit it because she's in the hospital eventually. But I mean, she complains so much. And I'm gonna be honest, like I said it last time. I don't talk about my menstrual cycle this much. And I mean, and it could be editing, but I'm gonna say that if editing, I'm assuming that editing tried to do a little bit more with you than to literally have 99% of the conversation end up about of what you're talking about, end up specifically about your menstrual cycle, girl. Anyway, at this point, uh it then of course the Miami ladies mentions that Candace is loud. I do think that it is important. There's some people who don't get along, and I've said that too. Like, I don't have to get along with everyone, and that's what Portia's trying to bring up. Miami's like, we have been trying to vibe with certain people, whatever. And I thought we did have a good vibe, and then somehow it gets to everybody raising their hand about how Candace is loud. I really don't like this narrative, but okay, go for it. Then, Heather states her opinion, which her issue with Giselle. She's like, look, I do not like the fact that you're accusing people of stealing some bottles and a bottle of your alcohol and blah, blah, blah. And so she finally comes to this conclusion that I can be liked and have an opinion. And I do think, that I can understand where she's coming from, because especially amongst a bunch of catty women who's trying to keep a check and stay on the show, your goal is to be liked. Anyway, Heather and Whitney somehow eventually hug it out. I blame it on the alcohol. People are crying. We see Portia crying. Everyone's jumping in the water. Eventually, somehow, people have no clothes on in the water. That is disgusting. When it's a community, when it's all y'all people in the same pool, I am not getting in a pool where you're butt ass naked. Like, sorry. That's no, thank you. Anywho, you can get naked in your own pool in your house, but there's other people. But I'm a hygiene person, even though I know that there's chlorine, but still. The next day, Leah plans the trip to go to the temple. Leah eventually runs away from the table because she has to throw up. So she's eventually going to go to the hospital, and the only person who keeps checking on her is Candace. Pretty much everybody else sometimes forgets that she's exist, which is cold-blooded. They literally are like, oh yeah, she is here, huh? Oh yeah, she is here, huh? Oh, what happened to her? Is there anybody missing? It's like, I'm gonna have to talk to these people, because there is ants coming from it's not ants, it's like really they're smaller than ants. I don't know what they are, but I know anyway, it's a bit frustrating. Whitney comes out with hardly any clothes on. And they're like, Miami girls are hilarious. Both of them in their confessional. Isn't she Mormon? Where are the rest of her clothes? She has a lot of breasts hanging out. Do you know where we're going? So it's funny. So they're like, you need to put some clothes on. And so she does have a shirt that goes over it. So that's nice. The temple's nice. Pepsi comes out with all these proclamations that are a little kind of like odd. I don't see how any of these proclamations are helpful. Nobody likes them. They're like return to sender. Okay, so then they have this tantric dinner. Whitney is spending the time I'm not going to get into male anatomy, and Giselle spending all this time talking about male anatomy. Sounds like you guys are a little ready to go home. So Whitney is talking about the painting that she did on Salt Lake City. And I was actually ready to be like, you know what, I saw that and I did not understand the context and why you were doing it, it seems stupid. Maybe it was like a date night kind of a thing, but I don't see why you would do this. But that's not my business. I mean, I guess you're trying to make a show. And I thought, and they were talking about how it forced him to quit. And somehow she brings this whole like, well, I was ready to quit the show, but then he told me, don't quit the show, of course, because like now you have the only income. And he invested all this money into your business, your health care, like all of your savings and the kids' savings into your business. Ma'am, you need to be on this show to promote this business so you can make some money back. Pay this man his money. Make sure that his kids are going to be able to go to college. Anywho, and so he's like, no, you could be the fascination that he's like, you're going to retire me. And I'm all, I don't really know how to make of this. I don't know how I feel about this, but I will say that you in a bind, ma'am, because you better hope that Salt Lake City doesn't get canceled. You should be begging for anybody and every single person to stay on the show, to come back to this show, revamp. You need to be marketing. You need to be doing a bunch, because Salt Lake City is not one of the first season was pretty good. Everybody liked it. I know that Mary's coming back. Second season was pretty decent. I still like second season. The third season was Mary decided to leave, and the third season, Jen is off to jail. And I'm like, look, the show can't survive. I'd still watch it because I like Salt Lake City. But it's almost like Dallas, and I think I've only watched Dallas like a couple times, and I think people keep saying it is still on. I don't know. But unless you plan on moving to another franchise, you need to figure this out. And you need to figure out how many years Salt Lake City, because people were like, cancel Salt Lake City. I mean, it had so many attempts, it had so many problems. Like, you brought that new girl on, and she was saying racist stuff. So then she did this apology thing, and then she's off. So Salt Lake City has been tumultuous, and it's not a whirlwind show. Like, that first season was whirlwind, the second season was still whirlwind, and then when we found out that Jen is like a thief and whatever, and then she ain't coming back anytime soon because she got some serious jail time. So, and we're not about to sit here and read her letters from her husband. So therefore, as a part of the show, like, absolutely not. I wish you the best. And Heather was right. You need this check because he doesn't plan on going back to work. Talking about, oh, I made more money than him already this year. That is fabulous. But I'm a hip you to what Dr. Heavenly said. If you depend on this check, then you have a problem, because this check is not guaranteed. So y'all need to be doing something else. Anywho, I also thought it was nice where they do this montage of how other housewives, and they all brought out like, man, I've seen a lot of people do crazy stuff with their husband on these housewife shows, and it looked really, really, really weird. And I thought that was nice to kind of go back down memory lane. And I was like, oh, yeah, that's true. And she's like, yeah, this whole attempt to try to be sexy on the show, that never worked. I did like they did the whole stripper pole. No surprise that Whitney is able to be the best out of all of them. And Alexis. So shady. Alexis is a star of this episode. I tell you, she goes, thank God Justin was fired already. And then she goes, all I kept doing, she's great. She's living her best life. But what about her kids? What are her kids gonna think? I don't think Alexis knows that Whitney was married and was cheating on her now husband. And see, Whitney is all, I left the church. No, ma'am. No, ma'am. No, ma'am. I mean, I'm sure you did, but you were also kind of kicked out. So it was a mutual thing. It's a little different than Heather. Heather's story. Whitney, you were cheating on your husband, and when they all found out that you were cheating on your husband and your husband was cheating on his wife, y'all got together that way. And then you had ramifications for your cheatation. So spare me with this whole like you're trying to present this holier than thou, like, and then trying to push Heather into leaving the church. I don't really care about this, but my point is, had Whitney's, oh my gosh, Whitney's um you would think Whitney's idea of what people should and shouldn't do, her her values ain't all there. So you talking to the wrong woman. Anywho, all that being said, oh yeah, y'all, is it just me? Oh my gosh, I'm gonna have to email people about this because I can't deal. Um, is it just me or give me a Candace and Whitney? I don't feel it necessarily on Candace's side, but I feel a little uneasy. I feel like if Candace would have made a move on Whitney, then we would have had a different outcome because she was drinking heavily in her space and then getting high in the way that she was just looking at her, and it just, I was like, oh, so you want Candace. I'm not sure if it's you want her or if you are just, you know, you're drinking. See, I can't drink this much personally. I don't get high, so I don't know about that. But I don't think I could drink this much and be away from my husband for like 9 days, unless I'm doing something else. So it could be the fact that they've been away from her their spouses. Like I said, I don't necessarily feel it so much from Candace, but I absolutely feel it from Whitney. And I was like, oh, I was like, Candace, you need to watch yourself because she's trying to you wake up and you end up in a whole different scenario outcome is gonna happen that you didn't think was gonna happen. You didn't intend to happen. You thought you were just so you need I'm just saying. And anywho, I'm gonna have to let y'all go. I'm getting attacked over here. Well, that being said, I don't know if this was a better episode. I mean, at least most of the episode last time wasn't about a bottle of alcohol. How about that? See you next time.